Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the midweek update where I'm going to give you guys everything that you can expect from the market this week. The market is looking pretty interesting. We have done a very big red day today and no bounces whatsoever. For those of you who have watched my video on Sunday, that you will know that I was expecting this big drop from the market. I talked about how the overall chart, technical analysis wise, on the daily chart and the weekly chart, the market is starting to look like it's topping off a bit, and I think we could see a nice big drop. Now obviously this drop came from Tesla earnings being bad, Google earnings being bad, Visa earnings being bad, so a lot of earnings just not doing so well, so market reacting to it even more than normal. But it's going according to plan because it is following the chart and the bearishness that the charts are showing. So what's next for the market is what I'm going to talk about in this video, along with 3 stocks that you should keep an eye on for the rest of the week, as these 3 stocks have the potential to make you a lot of money. With that said, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to get into the private group, link will be in the descriptions below, where you can click on the link and it will take you directly to this page right here. Click on the monthly, get access, and here's the thing, I'm giving away this sale 50 code, sale 50. This will allow you to get 50% off of the first month of the monthly subscription. All you have to do is use sale 50 for the 50% off. Since this week has been an absolute crazy week, I'm keeping this code open until the end of this week, so take advantage of it before the code expires. And yeah, I mean, let's get straight into it. So starting off with, how did we do today and how did we do this week so far in the private group? Well, we have had an amazing week so far. Monday has been super good, with over 60k plus profit for me, with this CrowdStrike trade alone being one of the big trades that I've taken this year so far, with a massive position here and then making 100% profit. CrowdStrike alone paid me 50k on that trade, and it was a major win for me because it's so good to have a win like this right away on the first trade of the week, and the rest of the week just feels risk-free because you have profits to play with and you have profits to fall back on. So your risk becomes very low, and therefore you stress less and you have more confidence on a lot of the trades. Obviously these SPY calls combined were pretty small size, but they combined made me like 10k plus. Overall, Monday alone was like a 60k plus day, and then Tuesday was another great day with UPS coming in nicely and paying some nice profits. And then I tried bouncing the CrowdStrike here for some quick gains. I was hoping for a bigger bounce, but I'll take these 20-30% profit. And at the end of the day, I did have a QQQ put option for a loss, which was a little bit unfortunate because I was almost correct on how this trade was going to play out. I was just a little bit too early. In fact, I was a day early on the play, because guess what, I did take a 0-day expiration 480 puts yesterday on Tuesday for QQQ, because QQQ had a pretty straightforward chart pattern yesterday, which was a nice head and shoulder right here. And I talked about this with my members. I showed the screenshot and whatnot. I was looking for this head and shoulder pattern. So what I was looking for was a nice break right here down to 480 and maybe 479.60, and I was gonna sell it for a nice 50% profit, or so on and so forth. But guess what, the market makers won this time. Yesterday they kept the stock sideways for the entire day up until end of the day, where they sold it off to 480, and I did not hold it that long because it was a 0-day expiration, so the premiums are going to be killed brutally. So I sold it for a loss to keep whatever left over. And well, guess what, I wish I didn't, or rather I should say I wish I took a day extra on the expiration date, because guess what, after hours we actually did crash down to 477, and then the following day, which is today, Wednesday, we absolutely got crushed. And I'm over here thinking, well, I wish I kept or I wish I taken an extra day on those puts, because I would have made a lot of money. I mean, I already made a lot of money this week, but I would have made a crazy amount of money if I had these 480 puts one extra day ahead. But guess what, I did play 470 puts today, and I made 90% on these, along with SMCI puts and Visa calls, which made some nice profit. So overall, a massive week, 100k week, more than 100k week actually, and that just makes the rest of the week a risk-free week for me. I get to play with profits and not have to stress and not have to panic sell things. Let a trade do its thing, and make money with the members, as a lot of the members have been enjoying making money and having some good wins today. And that's the goal, right? To make money, to help everybody, and to help make them money as well, and just get rich together, essentially. So if you want to get into the group, check out the link in the descriptions below. With that, let's go straight into SPY first. I want to go over SPY quickly, and then I'm going to do QQQ and then talk about the 3 stocks. So SPY, if you look at it, couple of things here that I talked about in Sunday's video. We have a possible EMA crossover. Green EMA going to red signals a bearish sign. We have a sell signal according to my indicator, and of course we broke underneath the blue EMA cloud, and the price of SPY closed underneath the blue EMA cloud, with the flow on SPY turning negative. So a tremendous amount of negative factors here pointing to SPY's downside and the overall market's downside, and I think this downside could extend even further. Now here's what you need to watch out for the rest of the week. You need to watch out for this 540 support. If this 540 support on SPY breaks, well, you need to go ahead and short it, because that will give you a nice easy short down to 537, which would be your gap fill right here. There's a 3-point gap fill on the daily chart for the SPY. Now this could be a really easy short, but again, pre-market could also gap down again tomorrow big. So if we're above 540 tomorrow and then we break 540 during market hours, you can look for this short. After this 537 target, you have another 3 to 4 points towards 533, which would be the next area of support, and after 533 your next area of support is 525. And so these are the levels to watch out for. Now if I zoom out and I go ahead and I draw a trend line on the SPY, then you'll notice that the SPY is still holding the trend line. It's not quite fully bearish. We have gotten a big bearish move to the downside, but this 540 level is the ultimate level for SPY. If it breaks this 540, then yes, we are in the bearish side of the market. It means that the market is actually bearish, and it is going to be a pretty big drop under this 540. And I believe that if we do break this 540, not only are we going to fill the gap to 537 and go to 533, but I think we're going to actually go all the way down to 525 and even more towards 500. Because if I go to the weekly chart, I can see that there's a lot of space between the green EMA cloud on my indicator and the blue EMA cloud. And the blue EMA cloud, the support right here at the top of the blue EMA cloud is 512, and after 512, well, you have room towards 500, of course, which is the whole number to look out for. So yeah, there is a lot of room on the downside, assuming we break that 540 support, because that 540 support on SPY is going to be the big one. So keep an eye on that. That is interesting. If we do bounce off of 540, we can look for a call option to maybe like 543s or 545 call option for a week out, if you want to do that and see if SPY goes back to 550. But I personally like the short underneath 540 a lot more, and I'm going to try to get that. QQQ similarly, on the weekly chart, you can see the trend line is still fairly holding here, but we do have a bit more room to go ahead and drop down to that trend line. Now the beauty of this drop is that the trend line is actually at the support of 450. So I think there's room for QQQ to drop down to 450, because 450 seems to be a major support on the chart that the QQQ can potentially go. Notice how the QQQ on the weekly chart has a sell signal, which signifies that more downside is coming, along with a bearish flow on the weekly chart, and it did break underneath the green EMA cloud, which points to bearish price action. So there is, I think, room for more downside here on the QQQ. If I go to the daily chart, you can see that on the daily chart we have had a green to red EMA crossover. We have had multiple sell signals. The flow has turned red. We have seen the QQQ break underneath the blue EMA cloud, which signals an even bigger bearish price action. And then we have this trend line over here at 450 that we can go ahead and see the QQQ go and test. So that is what I'm looking for the QQQ. I think overall the market looks pretty bearish, and I'm going to try and catch more downside move if the market gives me and continues to go on the downside. But again, there's a lot of earnings coming up next week, and there's nothing you can do about the earnings. If these big tech stocks like Apple, Microsoft release positive earnings and they gap up, the market will follow it. If they release bad earnings, the market will drop even more. And so earnings can really impact the market in a big way. So that's something that you always have to watch out for. I don't recommend swinging anything, as swinging is very risky in the current market right now. Day trading is the best way to go. With that, let's go straight into the top 3 picks for the rest of the week. First one being Apple. The reason Apple is on the list is because you see this trend line that I drew. Apple is testing this trend line. So there's 2 potential plays here. The first one is a bounce off of this major support here that Apple tested today. And that support is around this 217, 218 area. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a bounce here on Apple back to 220 and a break over 220 for a push to 222. I want to get a nice bit of a bounce on Apple towards that 222. If it takes out 222, then the next area would be 225 in my opinion, followed by 227s to 228. But that's assuming Apple bounces. If Apple fails to bounce and we break underneath this 217 area, 217 to 18 area, whatever you call it, then the next level of support is actually going to be 211, roughly 210 to 211. If it breaks 210 to 211, we will be breaking underneath the blue EMA cloud, which will send it to its next area of support, and that is 206.50. Now here's where things get really crazy. Underneath this 206.50 is a big fair value gap, and that gap is this big green candle that you see, which means that from the previous candle's highs, which would be roughly around 197.50 up until 206.50, that is a huge gap that Apple can go down and fill. So definitely keep an eye on this 217 zone to see if it breaks 217 and starts crashing down to 210. And that is what I'm going to be looking for Apple. The next stock that I want to talk about is AMD, and AMD has a beautiful chart here. Now obviously AMD, you can see, is pretty bearish, and you have this EMA crossover, you have a big red day, you have multiple big red days. But the biggest reason for watching AMD is that it's coming down to a pretty nice support area around this 141. If it breaks this 141, I think you can see a nice drop down to 133 to 135 zone, and that is a really easy short assuming you get that break. Now I do want to mention that we do have earnings coming up on Tuesday, July 24th, so the premiums are not going to be that good on options. And again, I trade only options, so I'll be playing that playing it on the option side of things. But this is something that you can look for, is a nice drop down to the 133s and 135s if 140 on AMD break. If we come down to 140, 141 and we bounce, you want to see a bounce back up to 150. 150 is going to be a very big resistance. If AMD breaks 150, you have room towards 153 to 155, which is not bad. I mean, that's a good amount of resistance, and it's a good amount of profit if you get that 150 break and get to 153 to 155. That's a 3 to 5 point move on the upside. But essentially what I'm looking for is more downside, because the market in general is pretty bearish right now. I want to quickly go back to Apple and mention that you can see that Apple actually has the green EMA going red today. That is another sign of possible bearishness for Apple, and you can see the flow on Apple has been slowly decreasing as well. So Apple could actually see a bigger drop here than what we've seen today so far. So yeah, these two stocks are looking pretty good. But the last stock that I want to mention is SMCI, and this is probably my favorite one of the week, is because not only did I make a lot of money on it today, I think that this isn't done. I think this stock has the potential to drop even more. Now, here's the thing. The key break for the stock is 700. If tomorrow we break 700, we're going straight down to 670. Okay, straight down to 670, because that's where the next support is. But here's the best part. If it breaks this 670, the next spot is 600. It's gonna go straight down to 600 because that's where the next big support is. 650 is going to act as a nice bit of a support, but I think 600 is the biggest one. Now here's the thing, if I go to the weekly chart, it gets worse, because if you go to the weekly chart, you have so much space to go down once this 670 break happens. Not to mention, if we break underneath 650, that would be the break of the blue EMA cloud, and that will be very bad, because that means that you're going to see a bigger sell-off here. And the other thing is, on the weekly chart, you have a sell signal with the EMA going from green to red, and the flow on the weekly chart is also bearish. So overall, just a lot of bearishness in the market right now, and a lot of these charts that has been going to all-time highs is starting to turn around and starting to look bearish. Is this the top of the market? Is the market about to crash? I don't know. It could happen, but it might not, because the earnings on a lot of these tech stocks could change everything. But based on purely technicals, market looks like it wants to drop more. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a pretty long one, but there was a lot to cover and a lot of technical analysis to give you guys. And yeah, I hope you guys make money for the rest of the week. I'm going to be doing my job and make as much as I can and help my members make as much as I can. If you want to get into the private group, check out the link in the descriptions below. Use the code SALE50 for a 50% off of the first month of the monthly subscription. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye bye and peace.